grid tech.
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm back today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
It's been an interesting day so far.
Well, it's supposed to get up into the 50s today. So
I know. I've already got my tennis shoes on, ready to go for my walk again.
Oh yeah, be nice. I might take my shirt off and go get some sun.
Sunbathe, right? Yeah.
In the 52-degree sunshine. Yeah.
And meanwhile, my daughter and all the good folks out in the Pacific Northwest are being drenched with a river of ocean coming out of the Pacific. So, have you been following that?
No. Are we talking big waves, or are we talking like monsoon season?
We're talking river flooding of a record proportion and wind speeds, toppling trees, and all of this thing is gradually going to move its way down to the Oregon area. But yeah, it's a pretty serious situation out there.
I guess that's a little.
So my sympathies and condolences to the people around in the Pacific Northwest, because you're really getting hammered right now.
Yeah, well, you're probably wearing shorts and flip-flops in Arizona year round. I mean, in the middle of the summer when it's 120 degrees outside, you're probably still wearing shorts and flip-flops, But
yeah, I've been down there a couple of times in the summertime, and yeah, it's not a place where I'd want to be in the summertime. Now, wintertime, no problem. But
yeah, I have a tennis tournament in Phoenix in March, and I know that in the evenings, you'll still need to wear long sleeves. It'll be cool in the evenings, but it'll be in the 70s probably during the day. It'll be really pleasant. But anyways, let's start out with Robotaxi, Tuber, a Tuber story.
A Tuber story, okay.
Tuber testing drives stock to record highs. It's interesting because we hear all this stuff about.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
Oh, okay, we'll get to that. All right.
Yeah. Tesla shares at their highest level in nearly a year after Musk confirmed the company is testing driverless robotaxis. The stock closed at $475, approaching its all-time record of $479.86, set in December of last year. And the stock is at $478. So the news had it at $475, but it's at $478.75 right now. So it's actually a little above that. It's interesting. The Tesla stock, doesn't have to fluctuate much to be percentages. My Oklo is just getting hammered. I love that company, but man, I'm thinking is now the time really to stock up on some Oklo, because at 79 bucks. Let's see.
What's my Rivian doing? Oh, dang, it's lost about $1 or so, down 8 cents.
Yeah,
today, so.
Rivian basically had good news. It was up a lot yesterday. So, all right. So the Robotaxi announcement comes as Waymo, Zoox, and Tesla all expanded autonomous ride services through 2025, marking a Robotaxi boom year. Now, this next story is a little sad. This is, let's see. Ford is taking a $19.5 billion charge as it pivots away from full EVs, including the F-150 Lightning. Now, this really shocks me because Jim Farley's been to China. He's seen, what's going on there, how half of all car sales are EV in China. And
he likes his, and he didn't want to give it back.
Yeah. So the company's going to focus on trucks, hybrids, and affordable EVs with a new universal EV platform. Well, we were reporting last week about their deal with Renault in Europe.
Right. Yeah.
But he's signaled that they need some cheaper EVs in the U.S.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, the F-150, is I guess what they're doing now is they're closing that all-electric version down and going to essentially a range extended version, which Stellantis was going to do with the Ram, and they apparently canceled that. So now we've got Ford maybe we're looking to pick up the slack and go that direction with a you plug it in or you don't plug it in, and actually much better if you plug it in, but it gives
Yeah.
people the option.
Yeah, Williams says Ford is still going to produce midsize EV truck in 27 for 30K. The platform is still coming out, and I think the Lightning sales would crash. An aluminum factory is going to take 1 year to fix. Well, one of the things Jim Farley talked about is that all of their EVs are $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 that Ford's trying to sell. And the cheaper EVs sell, the more expensive EVs, for the most part, sit. And so there's a difference there. I mean, even if you look at all of the EVs selling in China, a huge proportion of that are the ones that are sub 20K, and which we simply don't have here in the United States.
Right. But then take into consideration too that the pay scale in China is I think the average wage monthly wage in China is somewhere around $700-800. I mean, that's hard to imagine, but that's so even if that EV is only $15,000 US, that's like $30,000 or $40,000 in relative terms.
Right. No, I get that. Some of the GM EV trucks, the Silverado and the Hummer and all of them, they have 200 plus kilowatt hour batteries. I mean, it's huge. But that's partly for the role of what a truck does. If you're legitimately going to use an EV as a work truck, you need that so you can tow and do other things.
Right, you're pulling a small backhoe behind you, or a ditch digger, or things, small, portable cement mixer.
Well,
all those kinds of things.
Really small backhoe, I'll tell you. You really need an F250 to pull a normal backhoe.
Well, normal, but they've got these little scaled down ones,
the little T-Rex.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I've operated some of those, but I'm just saying I've owned a backhoe before, and you preferably need a dually to haul that thing around, because they weigh 19,000 pounds. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it signals a tough road ahead for legacy automakers struggling to compete in the EV transition, especially with Trump administration expected to roll back EV incentives. Well, it just makes it a challenge. I mean, these changes between administrations, with changing, the next time a Democrat gets in, they're probably going to bring right back the incentives again, or maybe they won't. Who knows? But maybe by then the incentives won't really be that necessary, like we see in Germany, right? So it's hard really to say.
Well, we will see. And that's, I guess, if there's a silver lining to doing away with the $7,500 tax credit, this is will determine where the interest is on the part of the public.
So now we can talk about Musk. So Musk becomes the first person worth $600 billion. Yeah. So SpaceX has a soaring valuation. It's currently rated at 800 billion. The object, and I know when they're going to do this IPO on it, they're wanting to do the IPO at 1.5 trillion. So that'd still be double where it's at now. But SpaceX shares are being currently sold in insider transactions. You can't trade this publicly.
Right.
Insiders who own shares are selling them back and forth at $421 a share currently, which makes the company worth about 800 billion right now. Combined with Tesla's stock surge, Musk's wealth continues to reach unprecedented levels. You can say what you want about them, but people are voting with their dollars.
Yeah, well,
it may not be individuals voting. I mean, in the case of SpaceX, I mean, I'm not buying rockets. I don't own a Starlink. I know lots of people who have Starlink, But they mainly have it in like their RVs and stuff like that.
Yeah, you saw where the Chinese apparently nearly collided with one of the Starlink satellites on a launch here this past week. Yeah, starting to get crowded up there.
Yep. Yeah. Well, when they talk about wanting to have data centers floating around in space, I'm like, man, that's going to be kind of wild. It's like,
well, we kind of already have that with the Starlink system, so
to a certain degree,
yeah,
we certainly have networks.
Well, if we can get them powered by sunlight and cooled by the frigid whatever 0 degrees Kelvin of space,
yeah,
and just there's a lag time of transmitting, but I don't think the lag time is that much if if you're doing it by fiber optic, to get it from a semi-stationary satellite in orbit. That's just a couple hundred kilometers. So
yeah. Tesla's almost to an all-time high. It's at 479.50. It's 479.86 is the all-time high it's ever had. So it's damn close. Right now, it's sitting about 50 cents below its all-time high.
Yeah.
It's gone up since we put it on.
Well, now it's gone down.
No, well.
Is there a delay?
Yeah, there's a delay. I was looking at it live, but see there, it shows it at 478.80, but it changes every second.
Every sweep of the radar arm, it changes.
Yeah. Rivian is up 22% for the past month, and Tesla is only up 17% for the past month.
Well, part of the reason has to be that Rivian announced that their next generation vehicles will offer autonomous driving.
No, I think eventually everybody's going to have that, right? Yeah. Even gas cars.
Well, we're starting to see that now. You see, Ford is running commercials now where you see the lady sitting in the car and she does this from the steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Ford Blue Cruise.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. With GM, it's Super Cruise. With Ford, it's Blue Cruise.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it worked. If I were commuting between here and Lincoln for a job, or going to Des Moines, on a regular basis for business or whatever, yeah, that'd be great. I wouldn't mind having turn that thing on, because that interstate's almost straight as an arrow, so it would allow me to relax a little bit, but I'd make sure, hopefully, I don't go to sleep in the process.
Oh, come on now, Bill. Nebraska highways aren't as straight as a lot of other states. It's not like when you go to South Dakota and you can't see the end, the road goes past the horizon straight ahead.
Well, yeah.
We're not that straight. We're not that straight.
Yeah. Okay. If you fly over this state and you look at all the section lines every mile, right? They're pretty straight. There has to be bends for terrain, and there has to be adjustments for changes in latitude. Yeah, latitude. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but there is some terrain between here and Lincoln. It's mostly a straight shot. I mean, it's pretty quick.
Oh yeah, because you got to go down into the valley to cross the Platte or the Platte, and then back up the hill and over to Waverly and Ashland and all those places.
Yeah, and it's not all cornfields along the interstate either. I mean, we got forests and stuff like that.
It's really a very pleasant drive through there. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. So this was something kind of interesting. Grid technology stocks have surged 30% as infrastructure demand explodes. And these are stocks that are providing, they call them grid technology, that are supporting battery storage, supporting data centers, EV charging. This is something that's kind of unprecedented growth in this space. Yeah. And I'm looking to see who some of these companies are.
I can tell you one.
Vertiv Holdings.
Statkraft.
I don't know that one.
Statkraft. Yeah, it's the lead article I just posted this morning on the editor's pick. I had no idea that there is a need for synchronous compensators. Did you?
No.
Yeah, apparently that the more the grid shifts over or gets fed into by wind and solar, the greater the need for synchronous compensators.
Or grid forming inverters.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Investment in grid stabilization lags behind renewables, threatening reliability.
And one of those machines right there is about $34 million. And see, who is it? Germany. I think it's Germany. And Germany needs 200 of those because they have so much wind and solar on the. So what is that worth? 200 times 34 million. A few cool $1 billion.
About $6 billion, $7 billion.
Yeah. So I guess if you're going to invest in a company, maybe that's one of the companies to invest in.
That's
don't ask me to explain why, because that's a question for Mike tomorrow. What is a synchronous compensator, and why do we need them?
These machines weigh as much as 2.2 million pounds.
Yeah. Look at the size of that thing.
If Spain had enough of these, the countrywide blackout could have been avoided.
Yep.
I mean, I guess I see. Yeah, so they actually have a dude there for scale. It's just he's so small you don't realize he's there.
Well, he's wearing a pretty bright red
a bright yellow hat.
So yeah. Well, which one are you looking at? I'm looking at the one on the. Oh, that one. Oh, yeah. No, I actually. That, of course, is an AI illustration. I went over and got a picture of an actual one. The only problem with the picture of the actual one, which was put out by the company Statkraft, is that it was only 475 pixels wide or something, a little postage stamp thing. So this is one of the ones I asked AI to scale up for me. So that's a scaled up version of it.
It stops stray voltage. Well, we wouldn't want any stray voltages running around. Let's see.
Well, again, I'm not an electrical engineer, so
you had better left for Mike.
better left for Mike to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Inverter maker SolarEdge Technology stock has more than doubled this year. Engineering firm Willdan Group is trading off record highs. Korean transformer manufacturers Hyosung Heavy Industries and LS Electric Corp have led, soaring roughly 400% and 230% respectively this year. Wow, that's some big gains in the infrastructure space.
Well, we have all this demand that's being placed on. When we first built the grid, what did we have? We had maybe a few people with a refrigerator and a few people with a vacuum cleaner or whatever, and then the demand began to grow, and we got air conditioning, and that really changed the loads. And now we've got EVs and data centers that is really putting demands. And I think that we were talking about, what was it? There's your gas turbines. There's 2 or 3 year wait to get a gas turbine, something like that. And it's kind of becoming this similar problem with transformers.
So there is an index fund that tracks this. It's called QGRD for Q Grid, because a lot of your indexes start with a Q for their ticker symbol, and it's up 28% year to date. And it tracks across these various grid infrastructure. It's actually had higher performance than AI.
Well, let me make sure we made a statement. We are not investment advisors, and anything that we're offering is just simply for educational and entertainment purposes only. There.
Yeah, we actually have a scrolling warning. It is up. It is scrolling across the screen there at the bottom.
There we go. All right, great.
Yeah. When you have lots of permanent magnet motors on a grid and they turn off simultaneously, They generate lots of unwanted energy that breaks stuff. That's why power outages are what actually take out surge protectors. Okay.
Oh, okay.
An unpowered motor spinning is a generator. Okay.
Ah, okay.
There we go. There we go. It's good we have some smart people come on in
Oh,
the
yeah.
comments.
Thank you, Owen XWHCS. We appreciate your participation.
Yeah. We don't claim to be experts, but it is funny. I have people all the time talk to me about different things. It's like, look, I know so much more about this topic. You could probably learn it all within 2 weeks if you really put your mind to it.
Right.
You know, on different topics. It's just kind of funny. It's like I tell people that I'm kind of like, you know, you've heard about the 50-mile expert. You're an expert because you came from 50 miles away or more.
Yeah.
In my case, I call myself the 2-week expert. I know
2 weeks,
about
yeah.
2 weeks more knowledge than everybody else, and you know it's kind of just a funny stat. Now we've talked a lot about battery storage lately, but global average turnkey battery energy storage systems prices have fallen to $117 a kilowatt hour. Keeps getting cheaper. It's dropping a lot. Battery storage market is projected to grow from 44 billion in 2025 to 183 billion by 2035. So that's a 4-fold increase in the next 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
That's a big increase. Falling costs are accelerating renewable energy integration and grid modernization. All right. Did you hear about this one? Detroit tests the nation's first public EV charging street.
Yeah.
They have a 1/4 mile of roadway that is a wireless EV charger. First public charging road in the U.S. That'd make the Hevo guy happy.
What did they give the particular street and where it is?
Yeah, I'm sure it's not in the ghetto part. Let's see.
That's sad because there's such. One time I've been driven through some of those areas. Some of those homes are just gorgeous, and for their period, in the 20s and 30s. But
it's on 14th Street. Okay.
14th. Okay.
It was retrofitted with copper coils a few inches below the pavement that feed power to EVs as they drive over them. A compatible EV carries a receiver plate when the vehicle rolls over an energized coil.
All three of them.
Yeah.
How many? They've got to all be retrofitted. They're there for testing and maybe some small shuttle buses and things like that. So it's promising.
We had Jeremy from Hevo that was on, and
right.
He was talking about how he's dealing with all these manufacturers that they have the receiver that's small that can be
right.
put on there to make this work. And they're trying to get manufacturers to add this. And currently, it's the German auto manufacturers that have been the most receptive to this.
Yeah.
So, for now, only cars equipped with specialized plates can use the road to charge. Well, I don't know that's for now. That would be the way it would always be, right? There's got to be a system for it to do it.
There has to be an antenna and an inverter and all those good things on the car to make that work. So.
Yeah, I have a hard time picturing like highways having this. You know what I mean?
To me, think of the cost to the infrastructure to tear up all those miles and miles of concrete, yay thick.
Well, I wouldn't see people going and tearing up the road. I would only see you doing it when you're doing periods of reconstruction. Right. When there'd be like scheduled maintenance. Of course, knowing government, they'd go ahead and do it. Just get rid of perfectly good road. Right. But
not.
But
we've got enough roads that need to be replaced and bridges and things like that. So,
when he was on, we were talking about, I see this as a good solution for apartment complexes or having it at shopping and different places where, you're going to go and the car is going to sit for a while, right? So
but
it
it'd
makes
be
a lot
just
of
as
sense.
just as cheap to put a pole out there and have a cable plug. Although that being said, one of the things is you don't have to worry about vandalism,
Right. That was one of the things you
right?
mentioned. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a few advantages to the system. And with the wireless, there also was, it's going to have to be a universal payment system, so it's not going to be dealing with the problems with all of the,
Yeah.
all the different
Right.
systems. All right. EVgo achieves 40% faster station deployment using modular technology. They've deployed 40% of its 2025 charging stations using domestically made prefabricated modular skids. They have a partnership with Miller Electric that's dramatically accelerated installation timelines. I'm kind of curious what this might look like. Yeah, it's just press releases. They didn't actually include any images of this happening, which could have been useful to see where that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a prefabricated modular skid. I mean, in theory, aren't all skids prefabricated and modular?
Well, I assume that they're talking about the unit above it, not the forklift pallet thing
Right.
it's mounted on. So,
It's funny. I've seen pictures of, I used to always wonder how they chose dock height for trucks. And in reality, I've actually seen pictures of horse-drawn carriages backed up to the loading docks. And
all right,
so the height of horse-drawn carriages that
was
were
the
like
height
a flatbed
yeah.
was the height, and trucks adopted that. So the reason that all the trucks are that high is because it was. Yeah, I saw a photograph from the 1800s of the Mallory Distribution Center in Memphis, Tennessee, and I knew some of the Mallory family.
Okay.
Anyways, and it had the horse-drawn wagons,
Wagons backed up behind offloading
yeah.
beer barrels or
Who knows?
pickle barrels or bales of cotton or whatever.
I was going to say it was probably cotton,
Yeah.
more than likely, because that was a big industry for
Right.
Still is.
Did you see the story below the one on the big generator? The EVs are ascendant and gas cars are past their prime.
No, I haven't yet. This is kind of an interesting question, Owen. I mean, because it does kind of make sense. I guess people have always done it the way they're doing it because that's how it's been done with gas stations. People are used to grabbing the receiver and plugging it in. But it kind of would make sense if you could just, you had the cord retract and then pull out.
Yeah, and you don't have the space taken up in the front of the car by radiator. In fact, a lot of those truck vehicles have frunks, which you could put a reelable thing in there. And although it's the cord that connects to my level 2 charger, it's like that thick around, and it's pretty hard to handle. So it's about 25 feet long. So I don't know. It might be more practical just to have it, have it on the pole rather than.
All right, Bill. What story did you want to talk about?
Oh, well, just the one below. We talked about the synchronous, compensators. Well, what below that is a story about the ascendant EVs, and the gas cars are past their prime. There's a graph there. Yeah. Which is kind of interesting that if you take a look at what's happening globally, not in the U.S., but globally, the numbers look pretty encouraging for EV deployment.
Let's see what we got here, if I can share that. All right. Annual vehicles sold worldwide, about 50 million. Oh, this is going from year to year. So there was 0 in 2000. Start to be a little bit. What do we got here? All electric, 10 million. Plug-in, 6 million. Hybrid, 6.8. Internal combustion, 54 million. Well, it's certainly, it's interesting. Overall, vehicle sales were higher a few years ago than they are today. So vehicle sales overall have fallen.
Okay.
And at the same time, all of the various electric, hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and all electric have certainly started taking up some market share. 4 million. Man, what was the peak here? Looks like the peak was over 80 million cars in a year.
Okay, we
Man.
lost it again. Dang it.
Well, we just lost Bill. We can all hear Bill, but he can't hear us. But that's okay. Let's see. Gas cars are stuck in the slow lane. Let's see. In 2017, global sales of pure internal combustion vehicles hit 79.9 million units. Last year, only 54.8 million units were sold, a 31% reduction. That's a pretty big drop in gas-powered cars. Nearly 11 million EVs were sold in 2024, the vast majority in China, while consumers also bought 6.5 million plug-in hybrids. Those are big changes, and it's it's just a matter of time. Oh, here he comes. Maybe Bill's trying. Can you hear us now, Bill?
Okay, yeah, I can't. Just all of a sudden, it just cut me off. I lost all the audio, so no idea.
No, yeah. So the highest combustion sales were 79.9 million. Internal combustion engine sales in 2017, and now it's only 54 million. That's a pretty big drop. It's a 30% drop.
Yeah.
In 7 years.
Now that, of course, like we said, that's on a global basis, with obviously China and Europe being, the dominant markets where the shift is taking place most widely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a pretty significant change. Let's see. I wanted to talk about China pouring money into smart grid technology.
The next story down,
yeah. That was one I actually had on my list. China has become the backbone of the global energy transition by leveraging its vast domestic market to scale clean technologies. Through strategic industrial policy, massive infrastructure investment, and control over critical mineral supply chains, China dominates solar, battery, and EV production. This leadership raises geopolitical concerns, but also accelerates global decarbonization by driving down costs and expanding access. I don't know what the political concerns should be. I mean, if China wants to electrify their whole country, that's their business, right? It's not like them having great access to electricity affects the United States. I've heard people, say the United States needs to be number one in nuclear power and all these other things. And,
But if you read the Wall Street Journal, the Wall Street Journal says that all that Chinese technology, whether it be in the buses or whether it be in the solar panels that are putting up, have little secret switches in them. And if China wants to turn off the bus commuting system in Europe, or they wants to flip a switch and turn off all the inverters and all the solar fields across the American Southwest, they can do it. And that represents a security concern.
Well, that's certainly a problem, but that's an independent issue from whether or not China is, putting in their own technology.
Hey, let them go for it. Go, I have no problem with their, decommissioning coal plants, although that's not happening with the kind of speed I would like to see. But in terms of solar, I mean, they are, they have solar fields that look like pandas now, right from the air. They just implemented the world's largest wind turbine, just went online offshore. Go for it. I think it's great because, like I said, a couple decades ago when I was in Beijing, I wanted to turn around and get back on the airplane and leave because I didn't want to breathe that air in Beijing. It was filthy. So yeah, I mean, go for it. I'm
Yeah.
happy that they're doing it and encourage them to do it. Just make sure that they don't try to take a strategically political advantage of the rest of the world because of that.
Yeah. The U.S. Senate is investigating whether AI data centers are driving up electricity prices for consumers. Wow. I mean, hopefully they don't spend a lot of time on that one.
Did you? I actually found, I don't think it's secret, but I was doing some snooping around because, as you know, I'm sort of developing this idea, what I call a solar apiary, which is basically a agrivoltaic system. And instead of using sheep, they use bees. Okay, it's an apiary, bee yard, whatever. So I've been kind of looking at some properties and things relatively near me, and I found a possible location and maybe a corporate client who might like to do this. But there's this odd kind of a structure to the south of it, and I'm thinking, what the hell is that? Because it's off the road and it's set back so you can't really see it from the road. And what is that? Turns out that is I can't say it's secret, but it's not a widely publicized data center. So, and across the road from it, we have a Yahoo data center, and about 3 miles away from there is another. This one is the Google data center, but this one I wasn't aware of. So anyway,
Yeah, well, they're building them everywhere around here because we have cheap
they are
energy
building
and
everywhere.
we have water for cooling.
Water for cooling, and we've got a increasingly sophisticated. I mean, one of the reasons why so many of the telemarketing centers were located in Omaha. Very early on, if you got a call from a telemarketer, chances are it was coming from Omaha. And the reason is because of the Strategic Air Command, about 7 miles to the east of me here, that needed a robust, secure, nuclear-proof, whatever you want to call it, communication system, so that they could communicate with all their strategic military, missile, and air bases. So that got all built out in the 50s, and then in the 60s, we saw they said, well, we got all this extra, capacity in our phone lines. Let's start telemarketing it. So we've been a kind of a center for a lot of that telecommunications that is going on, and you and I now benefit from fiber optic that allows us to do this podcast a little more efficiently, other than why we constantly, every now and then, I've got my connection dropped.
Yeah, that's something to do with your computer because it's
Doesn't
really odd.
I'm operating off a very old laptop.
Yeah, I mean, it could have something to do with StreamYard, but it just seems odd that you just exit and come back in, and it only happens to you. So it just kind of makes you wonder. Yeah, it's keeping the mystery to a small subsection. Anyways, that was all I had for today.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine with me. I've got a wife I have to take to dinner for her birthday, and
nice. Well, happy birthday.
Other things to look after. So great. Hey, thanks, Owen, and everybody else for jumping in. We really appreciate your participating, honestly. It's nice to see people engaging.
All right. I'll be back with Bill on Friday, and tomorrow I'll be back with our engineer, Mike Herzog. Hopefully we'll remember to ask him some important questions tomorrow, if I can remember. All right, everybody. Have a great day.